Hi, this is Lorraine, and I'm doing another video. If you'll give me a second to clear, center, and balance my energy, we'll get started. Okay, so I think I'm going to start with what just came in. And so this week overall has been difficult, but each week for the last few weeks has been difficult, but this week has been really challenging as far as information that's come in. And so as I'm clearing my energy, I was just asking for help in conveying the messages and speaking and saying what I need to say in a way that in the best way possible that can be received. And it's just been really heavy and weighing on my heart. And just this week and the information that's come in. And so as I was clearing my energy, I just felt this deep weight and pain, really emotional. I was really getting emotional, and there was a connection being made. So this divine source, and I guess you'll understand more as I go through the video, but this source energy was just sharing with me its own inner pain and sadness for what it is capable of, because we all carry light and dark within us. And so we at the microcosmic scale represent duality within this physical form. But at the macrocosm, the universal scale, the whole, in this universe, this plane of existence, which is a dual universe, a dual existence, that is this source energy. The source energy is the macrocosm of duality. So the source energy, the creator of all things, actually embodies both light and dark. So those experiences, those memories reside within that unifying consciousness, that source energy. And so and I think in the last video I made a comment about something, and I said either this represents the divinity within humanity, or the humanity within divinity. And so this emotion, this feeling that was shared with me as I was clearing my energy, was this source energy's realization and understanding of its own capacity for darkness. Okay, even though its homeostatic state in the void, at its purest state of awareness, of existence, of its existence, it is unconditional love, right? That is the homeostatic state of this awareness, of this awareness of this source energy. It's awareness of itself. At its most basic foundational place, it is unconditional love. So from this place of love, to see what you're capable of is what this can become. How do I say this? So first I have to make perfectly clear that this source energy is unconditional love. That's all it is. It can be nothing more or nothing less at its homeostatic state of awareness that I exist. But when it starts to explore what it can be within the context of this, the parameters of this universe that have been set up, of this dual universe. It can be the most darkest things that exist in this universe to the most lightest, most positive things. Okay, it could be the most negative to the most positive, and all things in between. And so as I was clearing my energy, this feeling came into my body. And I think as I sit here, its way of sharing with me why who I am and my role is so important, because it has been shared with me over I don't know how to say it, over all time or every experience or in many channelings, that in my lifetimes I always find my way back to balance. And so that's why I have certain roles in each lifetime. And that's why I'm asked to walk into some of the darkest places, because I'm always able to find myself back to center, find my way back to center. And so as I'm saying that, I have a friend that I always talk about who is the same way, always asked to do these very challenging things and asked to walk in these very dark places, because he's always able to find his way back to center, back to that place. And it doesn't happen overnight. It is a journey. And that's why we talk about path and purpose. Because path and purpose, when we find it, when we seek it and when we find it, puts us in a place, on a direction that we're meant to be. Okay, so I'm gonna start the video, or start reading in my journal. So 1/22, January 22nd, Zako. So when I was talking about Zako last week, I wasn't sure if I made it clear that whatever Zako was blocking during Christmas, when they had all those flight issues or whatever, the problems at the airports, the software issues, the grounded planes, that was all about protecting humanity. What came to mind as that thought came into my head, that whatever transpired was about protecting humanity, the thought that came into my head was 9/11 and the Twin Towers. I don't feel like it would have been a similar event, meaning I don't feel like planes were going to go into buildings and such, other than it would have been catastrophic. So it wouldn't have been something like 9/11 as far as how planes were used, but it would have been something equally as catastrophic to humanity and to the psyche as that event. Okay, so the next thing is, I feel like I've contradicted myself a bit, but our perception of time is changing. The transition has occurred, but there are still events that are meant to occur that are on the horizon. So, the transition, the energetic shift, transcendence has occurred. Like, we're in that process, but there are still events that are meant to occur. So even though we are transcending, the darkness is leaving the planet, Mother Earth's energy is vibration is rising, so is ours. There are still events that have been prophesied that will occur, and this is still part of the expelling of the negative energy. The old structures will be removed. These events will remove them. We are not meant to know what these events are, but there is no science, no government, no being that can prevent what is to come. This is the will of the divine. Nothing of the old will remain. And so as I was writing that, every single time I wrote the word divine, I heard sirens, like out my window. And so I live in the city, so it's not unusual to hear sirens. But literally every single time I wrote the word divine, I kept on hearing sirens. And, okay. So, 123. I read on social media a modern day guru stated or claims that we exist in a holographic reality, one where time doesn't exist. And so yes, we do live in a reality, a wave-based reality where time does not exist. Okay. So, but I have an issue with the word holographic. Okay, so I feel this type of statement referring to this experience merely as a hologram completely marginalizes this reality, this existence. Holograms are shallow and visual and do not begin to demonstrate the multidimensional aspect of existence. Holograms are hollow, shallow projections, like silent movies. Such a term in no way captures the depth and breadth of this existence. It is an attempt to hold humanity in the 3D. It instills fear, creates the idea that humanity and all beings in the universe are living in a matrix like the movie. I've had people around me say they've heard we are living in a matrix like the movie, with fear in their eyes. We are not living in a hologram or a matrix. This is an emotional experience that manifests our reality. Emotions are deep, powerful, and creative. Unconditional love drives every part of existence through its awareness of itself. This is what makes this world and humanity so gifted and empowered. We carry the depth and breadth of emotion and thus the depth and breadth of love, eventually providing us the depth and breadth of creation from the material plane, from this physical plane, from these physical bodies. This is not a visual experience. This is or are emotional ones created, formed, and constituted from awareness. I exist, therefore I am. I woke up in the middle of the night. The darkness that we are currently experiencing are mere echoes of the past. Oh God, I hope this makes sense, because when I woke up, this was so deep in me that it was a work night, and I actually got up to write it. Because I'm like, I don't care how late I went to bed. I don't care how little sleep I'm going to get. This has to get written down. So I hope it makes sense. The darkness that we are currently experiencing, or the darknesses that we are currently experiencing, are mere echoes of the past. This speaks to me of concepts or constructs of time that are lingering and fading away. These are remnants of what is left behind and falling away. Oh, that's so. If you my first video first videos I made, I talked about how this negative energy had kind of built up over time, all this negativity in the energetic field of humanity or Mother Earth. I don't know how you want to look at that. And then this occurrence in 2020, this illness, just kind of was like a what did they used to use? I remember back in the 70s, all the cars they used to have in the movies and stuff, they put this in it and it would make them go so much faster. And I can't remember what it was. It was like a special kind of gas or something. It was so funny. And I think they used it in Mad Max, but it's been so long since I've watched that movie. And I can't remember what it's called. Anyway, it's like, it was like a jolt. It was like a super powered hit to humanity, this disease that increased the fear level and the anxiety so high that it gave this negative energy like a jolt of energy, a jolt of power. And so they used that wave of energy to try to create the reality they wanted, to usurp the divine, to prevent this transition from happening to light or to balanced energy. They wanted to hold on to this world and keep it at this 3D level, right? So all this stuff that's happened was to hold humanity back, okay? So that illness was supposed to supercharge this negativity and keep it in power, right? That was their intention. And so all these events have been put in place. And I used to say that they're just riding the wave of energy that they've already created, this negativity. But eventually it's going to peter out and it's going to be disempowered. And the will of the divine, which is going to come in. The will of the divine was always to transition this world to balance. But we're going to start seeing it. Because back in 2020, when everybody was so fearful, it was very hard to see the light, love, energy, because there was so much fear. But I did say that this energy would eventually peter out, which that's what it's happening. So when I say, oh my God, I lost my page. This speaks, these are constructs of a time that are lingering and fading away. So that energy is petering out, and anything that they were attempting to manifest from that place that they felt that they were empowered by, that would allow them to create the fear, the anxiety, the oppression that they were looking for, it's petering out and it's fading away. So those are just memories of a past, someone's fantasy, someone's desire, something that someone was trying to manifest, that this negative cabal energy was trying to manifest. It was part of their consciousness that they were trying to impose upon us and manifest through us, through our fear, through our insecurity, right? Through our desire to survive, that anxiety. We were like, help me, save me, save me. So through that energy, through those emotions that humanity was feeling, they were trying to manifest certain realities. So it's those realities that were constructs of that old way of thinking that are fading away. They're fading away. So I hope that's clear. That was so important. It was so deep. It was very deep in my body when I felt that. Echoes of the past. That was what was so profound. Like, that was very clear that came in. These are mere echoes of the past. The statement of what I've heard, you can't oppress the oppressor. It's in reference to this new idea of what constitutes oppression and privilege among races. Let's just say that. And so you can't say, in my opinion, I don't feel like you can say that a whole race of people is bad, regardless of the color. regardless of the color of the skin and the race. And you, just the same way you can't say all of another race is good, because there's light and dark and good and bad in everything. And so if you can understand that and you can receive that and you can accept that, you can truly grasp how damaging any person, mind, group that is promoting such an ideology is harmful to society and our children as a whole. What is being stated here when you say you can't oppress the oppressor is all who marginalize or vilify, so let's say the Caucasians, because they seem to be under fire these days, all who marginalize or vilify Caucasians are oppressors and now embody or take the role of the cabal energy. Okay, so that's to say, if you say you can't oppress the oppressor, and you are saying that considering Caucasians the oppressor, right? You can't oppress the oppressor. So whatever you do as a person of color or another Caucasian person to oppress that oppressor, whatever their race is, now you have become the oppressor, okay? And you feel righteous in your actions to oppress that individual that you consider to be the oppressor, right? And I'm just going to say that's untrue. You have now become the darkness. You have now become the darkness because now you are oppressing others, regardless of their race, regardless of their age, regardless of their religion, regardless of whatever. When you say you can't oppress the oppressor, you now have become the oppressor because you validate that behavior. You have validated that oppressive behavior. So then I note that we have the BLM movement, we have Uncle Sam Wants You, we have the Be All You Can Be, back the military slogan to get people into the army. All generations have their propaganda. Hate, violence, warfare, promoted by what, by who, and to what end. You cannot manipulate, lie to, or usurp the divine. Nothing you did was unseen. Nothing you've done will go unaddressed. All must move back into balance and reconcile with the divine. Those who transcend represent the most fortified parts, fractals, energies within the source of all creation. We have unified and accessed the depth and breadth of emotion through the source from the void. We access the depth and breadth of emotion through the heart, the source from the void, from love. There is no greater gift that can be bestowed from this place. So to be able to access the depth and breadth of love through our hearts, fortified through the source of all creation, is the greatest gift that we can receive from this plane of existence. We are rooted in Mother Earth. I see us standing like trees in Mother Earth. There are 5: earth, water, fire, air, ether. There will be more. And so I saw me and those 5 large beings. We were literally rooted in the earth, like trees. And we were rooted. It wasn't like roots growing though. It wasn't like roots growing into the earth. It was a fusing. It was more like a fusing, like that video I talked about where I saw myself as a crystal kind of fused within Mother Earth, kind of coming out of the top of her. It was very much like that. We were being fused within or to Mother Earth in a very grounded way, energetically. So we weren't physically rooted like trees rooting into the earth. We were, so what's coming to me right now is we were more energetically intertwined with Mother Earth. And then as I say that, our DNA is combined with Mother Earth's. So we are essential parts of Mother Earth. We exist within, on, and through Mother Earth, and our DNA is essential to the existence, creation, I'm not sure how to word this. So what I'm seeing is a physical fusion of these four large beings and myself, representing water, air, fire, earth, and ether, integrating, that's the word I want, integrating and becoming one. So although I physically manifest as Laureen and all these four beings representing fire, air, water, earth, manifest as these large beings, that's what they're showing me themselves as, and Mother Earth manifests as Mother Earth, we truly carry all the necessary components for me to become Mother Earth, or for fire, that element of that being of fire can become me or become Mother Earth, and vice versa, all the way through the group of us. We can all become one another. We we are all unified, never apart. I can see us as these individual beings, but there is an integration that makes us interchangeable. And so I don't think I can take it any further and explain it in a way with words. But I think as time goes on and as we grow and change and evolve, that this is something that we can explore more. Just like time, the concept of time, or the fact that there is no time. Okay. And so as we're being rooted into the earth, I see the earth reaching the sky. And so all space in between is the domain. And so I see us like connecting the earth and the sky and all things in between. And I'm just saying earth and sky, but it's not really that. There is we are reaching out to the stars. We are reaching out to existence outside this world, and we are fill that plane, that space between Earth and, let's just say, it's the ozone layer, just like whatever those layers that hold Earth's atmosphere within. We are filling that space. That being said, those barriers don't truly exist. They don't truly exist, but we'll just use those as kind of markers, okay? Just like past, present, and future represent markers in time, we'll just use those ideas of like Earth and the space between and the ozone layer, and out past that, our solar system, and what is it, the Kuiper Belt, all those things just are demarcations of space, locations, and so we'll just use that. But there truly is no barriers. All space in between is the domain of the divine. The darkness filters out. So there are no edges or seams. The negativity, unbalanced energy is released, removed, expelled. It looks like ash rising and moving with a light breeze. It's gentle. It is the resistance to the change that creates calamity, catastrophe, cataclysm. And so as we are in that space, we are clearing the space of any type of negativity, and so there are no edges or seams. When I was talking about no edges of the ozone layer and all these demarcations of barriers that we have, but so what I'm seeing is just like dust, like this negativity, just the remnants of what's left being expelled from the planet. And so it's very gentle. That's the point. It's very gentle. It reminds me of rain in Scotland. When I went to Scotland after graduating from high school, and it wasn't really rain. It was like a mist, and it was like it was moving horizontally, which I thought was very interesting. And so that's what I saw. It was more like ash in the sky, just very gently moving and leaving Earth. But it was the resistance that people are feeling and experiencing that will create the calamity, catastrophe, and cataclysm. Because believe it or not, a lot of people don't want to go, still are thinking, how do we go back to what we once had? Right? They don't want to leave. They don't want to create the change that is needed for this planet. They just want to stay in their homes and their safe jobs, and they want their health insurance and dental insurance, and they want their cars. They want their staycations, right? They don't want the change, and so they're holding on to old ways. And that's what this negativity, this cabal energy wants, is for people to crave safety, security, right? Tradition. They want them to hold on to those things, those old ways. And actually, I don't know if I wrote it in here, but I had visions coming in, and like, even though like the Oklahoma City Memorial is beautiful, it's beautiful. It re-traumatizes you when you go there and you think about all the negative things that happen and the horrible things that happen. They have these chairs. They have little chairs for the children that died and big chairs for the adults that died. And so you can count the little chairs and you know how many children were killed in that bombing. And you count the larger chairs, you know how many adults were killed. And although it's tragic, really, do you want to keep going there and re-traumatizing yourself over how horrible it is? Because that's what happens when we're feeling that sadness, those negative emotions. We're empowering the negativity on this world. Same thing with the Twin Towers. Okay, 9/11. Now I know those who fail to remember the past are doomed to repeat it. I understand that, but it's the negativity that uses that as a tool of manipulation. That's all I'm trying to make clear, is that as beautiful as it is to like really honor and mourn the deaths of these people, it's also important to acknowledge how that can be used as a tool of manipulation, okay? As a tool to hold on to this world. Okay, 124. Diversity has nothing to do with the color of your skin or your race. True diversity consists of an authentic expression of the self emanating from the heart, demonstrating your energetic vibration through the physical form. Okay, I'm going to read that again because I don't know if I could really say that in a way that I could say that better, but it's just saying that your vibration is your true authentic self. Diversity has nothing to do with race. Diversity has to do with being your true authentic self, expressing yourself from your vibration, from your heart, from your true identity, from who you are within, not from without. Maybe I did just say it, right? I'm going to read it again anyway. Diversity has nothing to do with the color of your skin or your race. True diversity consists of an authentic expression of the self emanating from the heart, demonstrating your energetic vibration through the physical form. Okay, so at bedtime, I was sitting, oh, this was at bedtime. I just laid down and I was, relaxing, going to sleep. And all of a sudden I see myself sitting on something like a porch, watching water rush by quickly, like a river rising, though it was not a river. Then I saw water flapping up the side of a bank, more like water hitting the side or walls of a pool, like after someone jumps in, right? So when somebody jumps in the pool, you get those little wakes that hit the side of the pool. The feeling was I was observing the event, not participating in it. It also feels like there are many people, like the cabal, elite, aristocracy, negative polarity, who feel like they can escape what I will call judgment. They cannot. These are karmic consequences for their actions. Energetic attacks, even after it was confirmed, I am the light, no darkness resides here. The feeling is they are trying to attack. If they can harm me after such a statement, they can take down the divine. So first, I'm just gonna keep going. Why do I say that? Because I am shifting, accessing my inner divinity, releasing the idea of the self and projecting from my heart. I need the need for fields of protection is past. I use the love carried within to fortify myself. It is impenetrable. The idea of who I am is shifting. I am no longer separate. I am part of the flow of energy. I am the flow of energy. I always have been. Who Lorene is exists within the source. Judy and Gus's daughter still exists. She just sees herself in a new way, unbound by ego. Lorene is freeing herself from the constructs of this world. The rising of vibration, change in perception, fortifies and projects her. This is a place, thought, idea, existence that lower vibratory energies cannot access. This is not their place. They are not on a path that will bring them to this place at this time. And so it sounds like I'm talking in a third person, but I'm outside myself receiving the information, and I have to write it this way. And I know people might find it weird, but to talk about, I'm not really talking about myself in a third person. I am. But this is how the information came into me to explain why things are happening the way they are. Okay, and I'm just going to leave it there. 125, January 25th, Fields of Protection. If they don't know, so I just said that I don't need fields of protection. That's the past. That's the past Lorene. At this place where I'm at now, I don't need them. And I don't see it anymore. I still work with people who are just starting at that level, but at this place where I am, I'm seeing myself differently. And even when I close my eyes and I'm trying to bring in the torsion field, I'm being shown something completely different. If they don't know what you are using to protect yourself, how can they get through? This is how paradigms work for and against positive and negative energies. And so that all that was saying was the paradigms that we create, that we live by, the rules, the boundaries can be used for or against us, right? By either positive or negative energies. Okay, that's what that was saying. So as I have these new and different tools that I'm being provided, or that I'm being made aware of, this negative energy can keep trying to attack me, but they won't succeed because they don't know how to attack something if they don't know how to get through it. right? If they don't see the field, if I'm putting up a field, they're like, okay, how do I get through that field? And I've even talked about how to get through the field. Like my own thoughts can break down that field, right? My own thoughts of negativity can break down that field, and then they can use that to their advantage. But that's where I was. Like I did not have access to higher level tools until I moved through releasing certain things in my life. And as I walk my path and purpose, I'm allowed access to new and different things. And so now I have new and different things that help protect me. Or fortify me. I don't even know if I needed to be protected so much as I'm now fortified in my energy, more powerful in that center. So I was watching them trying to attack. So one, I have these. Well, it looks like I only put one on. So anyway, set up currency, monetary structure. So create fear around money or lack thereof. If you don't have it, you're homeless. Create fear around it, and control your mind and through this your energy field. How many times and ways have they controlled our emotional body through fear? Economic collapse, health threats, change in standard of living, all either false flag events, pure conjecture, or fabrications. Inflation is man-made. There are, and many people who work with the economy. I can't remember the title of the guy, he runs the reserve, the Federal Reserve. The guy who does that, or he was the former gentleman who used to run it, and I can't remember his name. He said inflation is completely man-made. It's from printing too much money to pay your debts, right? There are also diseases created in laboratories, gain of function research, right? We've heard that before. Whether these are false flag conjecture to create fear, misinformation, disinformation, exaggerations, or legitimate, this information is malicious and intended to create fear, insecurity, anger, feelings of powerlessness in order to control and manipulate masses of people. They control your thoughts and control your energy field through fear, insecurity, and feelings of powerlessness. What do you put your faith in? So, what do you put your faith in? Messages. So now also sound has been coming in very strong. I'm a very visual person, very, very visual person, but now I'm having information coming through in sound. So now, and not voices. I'm not talking about talking. I'm not talking about music. I'm talking about sound, just high, low tones. And so I'm having to learn how to translate this information. It's not I guess you could call it clairaudience because it's sound, but it's a different language. And so when I talk about clairvoyance, claircognizance, clairsentience, so visions, knowing, feeling, right? Clairaudience and sound, this is different because it's not just dealing with the senses of the body, eyes, nose, ears, mouth, right, touch. This is very different, and so I'm still working on it, on working with it. How do I work with it? How do I translate it? I guess if I could play an instrument, that might help me, but I don't. My dad was a musician. I should have picked up I have picked up an instrument. I should have stuck to it. But I feel like it's like astrology. Some people know astrology. This is a new thing for me to explore and learn. Okay. Manifest through writing words. And so that was a very strong message. Manifest through writing and manifest through words. Moving faster, manifesting faster, attracting, moving forward. I cannot go back. So everything is about moving forward. I don't look back. There is no past. It's gone. There's only this moment, so everything I do is about how do I create change? How do I create a better world, a better existence, a better life? Okay, so, and everything is moving forward, and it's moving forward faster. I can't even, there was a time where I felt like everything was moving slow, just like a snail moving across the sidewalk, but now it's just picked up quite, it's very rapid. Let Me Go. This is a song by a band called Heaven 17 from the 80s, band in the 80s. And I had to ask myself as I heard the song, I'm like, who wants me to let them go, right? And then the message came in from the source, you're thinking too small. And then it came in, the Zeta Reticuli want to create their own existence, want to create their own universe, right, where they can rule everything and be empowered and oppress everybody, right? And this is an illusion of the ego and separation. There is no Zeta Reticuli, there is no ego, there is no separation, there is only unity. All these ideas or paradigms are constructs of this existence, universe. They do not exist independently or in isolation. They are part of a whole. They do not exist without the whole. Okay, so this idea of them separating from unity and creating their own universe, or usurping unity, is unrealistic, because they are part of something. They don't truly exist outside of that source energy, that unifying consciousness. They are a part of it. And so as I was walking down the street listening to this song, Let Me Go, it was like they were saying, let me go, let us go. And it's like, you can't be let go, because you're part of a whole. You are not separate. You don't exist outside of that thing. So then there's weight all over my body all the time. What I've realized is it is the weight of this 3D reality, the weight of the emotions, ideas of separation from this level of this level of existence. When I am around those who do not carry the weight of the 3D level of existence, everything is light and my body is light. I don't need to see or know, I can feel your level of existence. I also see and know the truths being revealed to me are greater gifts of discernment, awareness, unity. Okay, and so that came in. And one of the things that happened, I felt this whole week was, this week was very disjointed. I had messages coming in at all places, and I felt like this, and then what came to me was that this is a true demonstration of how all time exists simultaneously. So I used to tell people I get all the information in at once, and then I have to kind of order it. And what's been happening this week is I'll get information, I have to go do something, I come back, there's more information about something else, I come back, there's more information, and it just seems very disjointed. And I'm like, I hope this makes sense when I read it. So let's see, the continuation of the Let Me Go part, the Let Me Go, the song, who wants me to let them go? Okay, so there is no letting go of aspects of yourself, ourself, the divine. There is only the divine, unity. This is the delusion of separation. It is like trying to potty train a newborn. It's outside their scope of understanding at that place or phase in their development. So there's no way to explain to the Zeta, because they're at such a low level of consciousness that they can't separate from divinity. It's like trying to teach a newborn infant how to use the bathroom. They're just not ready for it. They're not ready for that explanation. You have to wait for them to grow and develop to a place where you can start those lessons. I was sitting thinking about the weight I've been feeling all over my body and realized it is not me or anything I'm carrying. It is the world around me. It's the parts of this world that are still existing at a lower vibration at the 3D. It's the things I am not necessarily here to change or affect, although I know I am all things. What this tells me is that there will be a shift that will release all things of a lower vibration. The feeling is that the transition is being manifested through the shifting poles. So right now the poles on the planet Earth are shifting. They're flipping. The final shift will be represented in the flipping of the poles. This flip changes the magnetism of the planet and will be the catalyst for global geographic and geological changes. This is what will change the terrain in the Australian outback. It will change coastlines, create new continents over time. All things 3D will be removed from Mother Earth. Mother Earth's energetic field will be cleansed. If you follow your intuition, you will be where you are meant to be when you are meant to be there. Some doors will be closed, others will open. This is a time of revelation and judgment, for lack of a better term. 127, January 27th. I had information come in this morning showing me people who have felt that maybe they did the wrong thing, transitioning and doing the right thing. So they're transitioning and trying to do the right thing. When I say this, I am referring to white hats, black hats, and as I like to say, gray hats. First, we all need to tap into and follow our intuition as we connect to our hearts and the divine. The feeling is there are a number of independent factions working towards transcendence from the 3D. When I refer to 3D, I mean on the physical plane, not higher levels of consciousness. A good example would be child and sex trafficking. They are working towards intercepting and stopping many wrongs against humanity. Some are driven to work from higher levels of consciousness, others from the physical plane. As long as you are following divine guidance, you are where you are meant to be, when you are meant to be there. The battles on the physical plane are great and challenging. Maintaining your connection to the divine fortifies you. I feel like we must drive forward as we are guided, but I also feel a massive change coming. The change is through water. As you drive forward on your path, your mission, remember it is for a reason. There is a purpose. How we end these lives is important. The feeling of freedom at our time of passing is important as we walk through that door and open a new one. You will or you have freed many. This is important. At the moment of what I will refer to as judgment, do not feel sadness or that this was for naught. Know you've had a purpose and you are fulfilling it. And so I was watching something and it triggered all this information coming in. And so there's many people who have maybe done things that they weren't proud of and are coming back and they're trying to do the right thing, and they are part of this trying to hold people accountable for the sex and the child trafficking. And even this endeavor can involve some very dark, going into dark places, doing dark things to get the information you need to execute whatever you need to execute to help these people, help free these people. And so it's just important to know that as long as you drive from your heart and not the ego, and you're sincere in your intentions, that you are doing the right thing and you are doing what you are meant to do. Because even though these people are very wounded and they've been through a lot and maybe not very have a lot of mental health issues as a result of what they're going through, the fact that they are being freed, and that at some point when they pass it back to the light, that they will do so from a place of freedom, is very important. It's just very important. Okay, just know that. I keep seeing water. It's moving very fast, but is very calm on top. I'm sitting on what I would say looks like a porch or a barge. It goes up and down with the water levels. I see the sun setting across the water, even though the top of the water looks calm or flat, although it is moving fast. The water below the surface is shifting and changing. Its currents, it's shifting and changing. Its currents are also changing. The Great Barrier Reef is dying, and then I know someone working in the Philippines is restoring reefs in that area, or trying to do reef restoration in that area. They are not meant to be restored. They are meant to die, like many parts of this world. Many things must be released for the new to be welcomed in. The sea floor is shifting and changing as the heart of Mother Earth opens. Volcanoes and earthquakes below sea level are just two things having an effect. To think being on or in the water will keep you safe in some way is misguided. The shifting, changing below sea level will be profound, tumultuous, unforgiving, transitional. Fire burns even underwater. Nothing of the 3D will remain. That means anything holding on to the 3D will not remain. Thoughts, ideas, ideologies, political, societal, financial, spiritual, religious, scientific, will be quashed, removed, fall away, destroyed. The water is cleansing Mother Earth. When the transition is complete, those who have transcended will once again tend to our Mother and live our lives of stewardship to our world, ourselves, and each other. There will be no Earth transcended into darkness and no version of Earth that remained at a 3D level. So there's going to be no alternative timelines of an Earth transcended into darkness or an Earth at a 3D level. There is only right now. Memories of what might have been fade to nothingness. We, humanity, know to focus on this moment, here and now, because anything else is a mere distraction. So I had all this information come in. So there's one person, and I don't really like to name people, but I have in the past. And so right now I'm not going to name him. I just don't feel it. But let's see as I read through. So I'm just going back to the Special Forces. In order to be part of the Special Forces, you had to have deep emotions. And that may seem contradictory, but that was needed to fulfill the desires of the Cabal, not the military or U.S. interests, but Cabal. In order for them, the Cabal, to maintain or bend the light carried within these men and the light energies they were manipulated into attacking. So these gentlemen had to carry deep emotions. They had to be very emotional people, also intuitive. And so those two things connected made them very powerful. And they needed those two components in order to bend the light within the men, and then to manipulate them to attack people who existed from a place of light, okay, from balance. And as this information was coming in, I literally saw light bending, and that's what I'm being shown is light bending. When they're at this place of, am I good or am I bad? Will I transcend? Will I go to hell? And so I think there are many people living from this place at this time of transcendence, questioning it. But this information is coming about these gentlemen specifically from all generations, not just current, but all generations. The laws we live within, the boundaries, parameters, standards, they are clear. We know them intuitively, all of us. The laws are loving, compassionate, forgiving, tolerant. It is the execution of karmic consequences that may be perceived as harsh. Like a child being denied a toy or a piece of candy it wants might become upset. We are not meant to have everything we want, but we are provided everything we need. So we have all these laws, and they're very compassionate, and they're just guidelines for us and expectations for us to live within, right? But sometimes, like children, little kids who aren't grown or evolved enough to really understand that they can't have candy every meal and they can't have every toy they want. When you deny them something that they want, they may throw a temper tantrum, cry, or make a scene, right? It's just because they're not at a place where they can receive that information and accept it, okay? And so, but the consequence is they don't get that toy. And normally they'll stop crying and they'll be okay. But we're at a place on this world where people are like, if you don't give it to me, I'm going to take it. And I'm going to manipulate you into giving me the things that I want. And they violate many of the laws that, or the boundaries that have been put in place, the parameters that we are meant to work within in this existence. Okay, and when you do that, we start engaging the push and pull of karma. Okay, and so if you the negativity that you put out is the negativity that you will get in kind. And so what we are going to experience is karmic consequences for the negativity that's been put out on this world. And even though we may not be responsible for it, we may not feel responsible for it, we all are in some sense responsible for the darkness on this world. So when people say you can't oppress the oppressor, that's a very dark statement. Okay, that's a very dark statement. When we see people doing the wrong thing, like abusing a child in public, and people just say, oh, how unfortunate that is, and they walk away and they don't do anything, that's a problem. When we have people living on in tents on the sidewalk and that becomes acceptable as a place of living, that's a problem. That's promoting darkness, and if we think that's okay. As a society, as a government, right? That's not okay. Price gouging, it happens all the time, even though it's not legal. What's happened with the gas, what's happened with inflation, those are all negative things that are oppressive, that has been projected by this negative energy. But it doesn't only affect humanity, it affects all creatures on this planet, all energy on this planet. The trophy hunting, hunting down the white rhino to extinction, killing elephants for their ivory, all these things promote negative darkness. Okay, and I'm going to say even some of these activist groups who are supposed to be helping and fighting for freedom or equality or protection of animals, I think it was Greenpeace who violated or like desecrated like sacred lands were the NASDAQ lines. Is that what they're called? The NASDAQ lines, something like that in South America. They put a one of their banners, some type of banner across the land to protest some type of ecological protest. But in order to protest that, they desecrated like their sacred lands. It wasn't our lands, it was their lands, right? So, you know, that is a type of, that's eco-terrorism. I would call that eco-terrorism. So that's a very negative thing. When you say, well, it's justified because we're trying to promote this agenda. That's not true. So that's what I'm talking about when I talk about all the negativity that's been put out into this on this world. We're all accountable for it. And when that negative karma that we've put out comes back, it's going to seem harsh, but we are responsible. We have a role in that. 128. In these endeavors of reconciling past with present circumstances, I feel an internal conflict with some self-doubt. For the individuals feeling the internal conflict, this is normal. It is part of the conditioning of humanity. And so this goes back to, again, to the special forces. Even though I didn't note that, I just remembered it from yesterday. And there are very specific people that I can feel this internal conflict within. And so it was super strong, and I just started writing, and I'm like, I'm just going to write a few things, and then I ended up writing a whole bunch of stuff. So anyway, I'm going to go to these, hold on. I'm going to go to these men in the special forces. That is where I'm called to go. Each person is unique in who they are, but the conditioning of the mind, body, and spirit to create the special trained soldier is uniform. So at its root or foundation, you think alike to achieve your goals, or you had in the past. You very much worked in unison with a hive mind. I say this because when I have these visions and feelings, I see this one person, I'm going to say, but I also see a web of individuals extending from him, demonstrating a web of interconnectedness between them. So when I refer to him, I am speaking of the whole web of individuals, not just that individual. There is a push and pull between the light you see in yourself and the darkness you know is also there. Is there anything positive to make up for the darkness you brought to the world and experienced? First, every experience has a purpose. When you are told you are property and you were trained to fulfill an obligation, you are an asset, an investment, then you must comply, right? This is part of the conditioning, brainwashing. The powers that be had the opportunity or opportunities to do the right thing with you and your skills. Did they? I don't know. And there's no way you can either, because nothing they told you was true. Nothing. There were no wars for freedom or righteousness, just power, control, greed, oppression. You gave these powers that be the opportunity to do the right thing, although I can't say what the right thing was in every circumstance. I can say that they failed to fulfill their obligation of doing the right thing. That is not your burden to bear karmically. So what their actions were is not your burden to bear karmically. Even though you engaged in the action, they gave the order. You did what you were expected to do, but it's they who handed down the order that carry the karmic obligation. That is not your burden to bear karmically, but you do live with the memories of those experiences. How do you do that? It involves releasing the deep, profound emotions attached to those experiences. This doesn't happen overnight, but it can. It will happen if you set the intention to create the change and release those emotions, that energy connected to those memories, connected to those experiences. Forgiveness is a huge part of this process also, but that doesn't mean validating the abuse of power. This can also be utilized with childhood trauma as well as traumas that are repressed in your subconscious. And so this could be childhood traumas that you recall, childhood traumas that are repressed. It can be for anybody in the Secret Space program. Those traumas that are buried in your subconscious. You can use this tool of releasing to help you process and move forward and release these energies. So even though you don't remember, you can release them. You set the intention for God, the source of all creation, angels, guides, whatever positive balance energy you want to utilize to help you release negative energies, attachments, experiences that you are unaware of, or that you are that are repressed. Anything that will help you heal, transition, walk your path and purpose, be the person you are meant to be. One or all of these intentions will help. This is a starting place, a foundation, not a roadmap. Your intuition and your connection with the divine will provide your roadmap. Then there are those, and I'm talking about special forces, who chose to go into places like CIA, NSA, or other secretive agencies. Then the Black Ops, PSYOPs, or other clandestine operations outside of the military that some participated in after discharge. You have to have a clear understanding of path and purpose from here. So if after the military there's a different obligation, karmically, from that role of being an enlisted soldier to after you leave discharge from the military and choose to stay within this organizational structure of like these black ops, aggressive, violent engagements. And in order to do that, you really need to have a clear understanding of path and purpose. And you have to have a connection to the divine to continue in this endeavor to this end, and make sure that you're maintaining, you're doing what's expected of you so that your karmic is balanced when you come to the end of this life, when you pass. I can explain, but your connection to the divine is your greatest tool of redemption from this point forward. There are many of us who have very specific paths and purposes, who have been asked to walk through very dark places and experience very dark things firsthand. They must bear witness. Then they must pull themselves out. This is part of path and purpose. This is the part that assures balanced karma as you transition to your next experience, your next life. Through this experience, as you transition through these different places, spaces, designations, consciousnesses, as you connect with your heart and the divine, you know your direction and you are assured you are walking your path and purpose. It is the conditioning of humanity that creates doubt and fear. Any doubt or fear you feel about what you are doing and any doubt or fear about what you are doing and why can be quelled by taking slow, deep breaths and setting the intention to clear the emotional body, bringing light energy in through the body to clear your energy field. So you use, I should have said and. So you use deep breaths with the intention to clear your emotional body of any negativity, energy or attachments, and you use the light energy to come through your energy field to clear that of negative energy and attachments. The light only takes a fraction of a second. It's as long as it takes to visualize it coming through you and around you to protect you. That's as long as it takes to manifest it. The breathing is as long as you want or need. So taking the deep breaths is a little bit longer because you actually have to bring the breath into your body and release it, as opposed to just visualizing the light. But nevertheless, they're both very effective tools for clearing the emotional body and the energy field. These are merely tools to help you start. We all need a starting place. And so there's a person that I've talked about in the past who has a website. And I never, normally if I talk about someone, I'll post the website or something associated with them, because I want to, I'm using their person, their story, their information, and so I feel like I should do that. And so this person has a company, a website that he uses, but he's also written a book. And I normally only use the book as a source, because whenever I go to the website, it's like I always used to get this really uncomfortable feeling in my body, and I was like, just very uncomfortable. So that's always like, don't do that. So I didn't do that, but I didn't understand why, because I do feel like this person's got a very balanced energy field. And today I was thinking about that, and this word, the company, or words, the company came in, and I was like, what? And so there was an association with the company and the CIA, right? And so that's to me, a very dark place. CIA, very dark place. And so I'm just going to talk about that. Be careful. These black operations side groups, one individual deciding what's right or wrong, good or bad, how justice will be served. It's a recipe for darkness and the ego to thrive. So if you think about it, we have the CIA, it's supposed to be doing good things, but they really aren't, right? And then you have all this corruption within the government systems, and then you have all these breakaway or break off organizations that are supposed to be working independently to clean up these people who feel like they're above the law and are never convicted for crimes. And so Remo Williams, The Adventure Begins, well, I love that movie. And that's one story where they have these two men or one man who's out to kind of right the wrongs against humanity. And then there's some other movies associated with that where these guys just kind of come together and they work to try to dig out the darkness, the cancers within our government, okay, within these a government that's supposed to be protecting us, right? And so it's very important that I noted that if you're driving from the heart and you're connected to the divine, you know that you're doing the right thing. You know you're on path of purpose, and you know you're doing what's expected of you, what's being asked of you. But if you're driving from a different place, you're driving from ego. And that was always going to that's always going to take you to a place of self-service. It's not going to be about the greater good. As you step out of your roles and into new ones, you must remain connected to your heart and the divine. Drive from that place in order to assure you remain on your path and purpose. This assures that your very specific journey is walked as it should be. You are successful on all levels and obtain the joy, love, and happiness you want and deserve. I know it's coming. I can feel it and see it, but there is an event that will occur prior that is necessary. Every experience is a valid experience, and death is a transition, a door closing here and opening somewhere else. It is a gift and should not be feared. Change is coming on a profound level. We should not resist. The water on top that I see in my visions moving fast represents a quick, calm transition. Below the surface, the churning of the currents, the obstacles, the rocks, mountains, volcanoes, sea life, vegetation. I see it all mixing, churning, turbulent, tumultuous. This is what those resisting the change will experience. It will be treacherous and dangerous. Remain in your center, live from your heart, connected to the divine. Sit atop the calm water, moving quickly around any potential obstacles, settling in safely in a new world, living from a different perspective, creating a different level of awareness. So next that came in, there is a certain threshold that must be reached to remain on Mother Earth, a certain level of consciousness, awareness, connection to the divine. And so that's not any one, I don't make that determination. Each person makes that determination by where they're at in their awareness, okay, in their awakening, in their intentions. And it's very uncomfortable for me to say this, but I have said it a couple times in this video, but what keeps coming and what keeps coming this week is death. Death keeps coming in. Death during this transition. Whatever it is, it's going to be profound and it's going to be karmic. It's not going to be about, okay, I'm just going to let it go. And so this came back in, Black Ops trying to chip away at the stone of darkness. And that's what I was talking about. These breakaway, these separate groups that decided they're going to provide justice for these people who are not being held accountable for the darkness that they bring into the world, into the government, and so on, right? Are those Black Ops driven from the heart, inspired by your connection with the divine? That's the question you need to ask yourself. And then there is no more chipping away at the stone. There's no more chipping away at any stone. The stone is being removed in totality. So all these people who are doing this, trying to root out the darkness, first ask yourself, are you driving from your heart and from your connection to the divine, or are you driving from the ego? That's the first thing. And then the other thing is, you can keep chipping away at that stone, but what's coming is that stone is going to be removed completely. There's really no need to chip away at the stone anymore. Okay, so give me a second. So that last thing, there's just something's coming. I'm not sure what it is. It's karmic. And everybody will be held accountable as is appropriate. I'm sorry, I feel like this video is so long. I hope it is not as long as I felt it was. But I think that's it. Thank you.